Good morning, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave Keith and this is A Bonus Biker Lifestyle. A special welcome to all you lovely people who've clicked the subscribe button. Thank you very much indeed for your support. And if you're new to the channel, you might be wondering why it's called A Bonus Biker Lifestyle when the content is predominantly about reselling. Now the main reason for that is my lifestyle is that of a biker. But what the whole concept of this channel is, you could replace the word biker with your own chosen interpretation of freedom. What I aim to do is to show the people who watch these videos a way that they can earn extra money online by reselling. What I mean by reselling is taking items from one marketplace, from car boots, charity shops, auctions, a variety of different sources, and resell mainly on eBay but also on Amazon, and that's how I earn my living. So what we're going to do in today's video is go through 15 things that help me be more productive and appear more professional to my customers. A lot of these things are going to be really obvious, but there may be some items in here in this list that you haven't thought of yourself and you might find particularly useful. What I'll do is everything that I use I'll link in the description of this video, so if something that you want to get for yourselves, you can click on those links and get them. Now before we jump into it, it's important to note that when I first started out, the vast majority of this stuff I didn't have myself. It was very much a case of using what I had already in the house or just putting bits and pieces together to try and make it as cheap as possible. And so over time what I've done is I've replaced things and added to my arsenal of tools so I can provide a better service, but as importantly to make me more productive. The more productive that you are, the more time you save and the more time you can spend on developing your business. So like I say, these are just things that I've added to make life generally easier. Don't think for a second that you have to get these products. When I first started out, I was writing out addresses on pieces of paper and then sellotaping the pieces of paper to the packages. When I've wrapped them, I was wrapping them in anything I could lay my hands on, old boxes that's from deliveries that I'd had myself, just making do with what the stuff I've got and obviously replacing as I go. So we're going to jump into it now, and these are the things that help my business immensely. Starting with the basics, we've got packaging supplies. Bubble wrap, absolutely essential. What I do is buy this in big rolls. This is 750ml by 100 meters. The reason I get it to that size, if you notice it's the same size as a packing paper, is because when you're wrapping square items, things like that, or longer items, particularly your standard board game kind of box sizes, it makes it look that neater. It makes it look like you've put that bit much more effort in. Also, you're using less product when you're packing. Now I use two different types of paper. What I tend to find, or maybe it's just because I've convinced myself of this, that people who buy second-hand toys and games and things like that are very environmentally friendly. So what I try and do with my packaging is portray that I'm at least trying to be as environmentally friendly as possible. So the two types of paper I use is, one is the standard parcel paper. It's a little bit thicker, like craft paper. Again, this is 750ml, so it's slightly thicker, a bit more durable for wrapping parcels in, and that's the first type of paper I use, and that's for that purpose. The second type of paper is a lot cheaper, a lot thinner quality. So basically what you're doing is this is just used for packing out boxes. So when I've got a lot of empty space in the box with a particularly a delicate item that I want to pad out some more, just rip off a piece, loosely scrunch it up, and then pack that into the spaces around the box. Provides that extra level of protection for your items. Continuing with the packing, mail bags are the quickest way of packaging stuff. These are the two main sizes that I use. This purple one is 30 by 45 centimeters. This I managed to get these very reasonable rate. Annoyingly, what you tend to find is the packaging that's recyclable is more expensive. I'm very cost driven, like a lot of businesses. It would be brilliant for me. I'm very conscious of the environment, believe it or not, as a biker, but it would be ideal to be able to provide entirely recyclable packaging, but because of cost that's not always possible. But these ones are. They're the main size that I use, but obviously there's some items that are very much bigger, so you need to use a bigger bag. And so these big pink ones, I can only get this size in pink. I'm sure people don't mind. And this is 79 by 48 centimeters, and that will fit most things in. Also, what I'll use if I'm sending out clothing or shoes is these bags. They have the warning on, the avoid suffocation warning. 2 sizes of these depending on the item that I'm sending out. What this does is just gives the item that little bit extra level of protection, but also it portrays that you care about the products that you're sending out, and it gives the impression of freshness and you've looked after them. It's just a more professional experience for the customer. And the last thing on the list for the packaging supplies is black shrink wrap. If you're sending out an item abroad or something that's susceptible to getting damp, if it's an electronics or something that could potentially get damaged by the box being rained on, it's always as well to stick an extra level of protection on in the form of black shrink wrap. This is really cheap and it lasts such a long time. I've had this stuff in so long, I can't remember how long the rolls are, but I know that I got 6 rolls for, I think it was something like 20 quid. And this stuff, I've had it about 1.5 years and I don't think I'm on the 3rd roll yet. So excellent stuff. So you just wrap the box to death in this stuff, no water's getting through, gives it an extra level of protection as well whilst it's in transit. Essential items number 2, tape dispensers. Absolutely wouldn't be without these. When I started out, I was just using a normal roll of sellotape, ripping it all off, using my teeth. And after you've wrapped half a dozen to a dozen boxes using your teeth on the tape, believe me, it's not comfortable at all. So these are very wise and very quick investments for me. 2 sizes of tape, obviously the wide tape for your big parcels and whatnot in the boxes, and a standard tape for your smaller parcels. One thing to note on these, then I got this from Ryman, which is a really expensive shop. I was just there and I like the quality of it. If you're buying a tape dispenser, a desktop one, make sure it's nice and sturdy. This one is properly heavy. What you don't want to be doing is when you package it at a rate of knots, is you don't want to be dragging the whole thing around when you're pulling your tape. So this one, it'll stay put and away you go. So nice and sturdy, nice heavy thing. Item number 3, tape measure. I know it stands to reason that you shouldn't be without one of these. I always have this to hand. You don't want to be getting postal sizes wrong. It's very expensive if you do. In a lot of cases with couriers especially, there's some of the charges for getting it wrong and the parcel being larger than it should be for their guide rates can be £25. And not only will that take all your profit out of an item, it can get to be very expensive as well. So I always have a tape measure close to hand. The Royal Mail sizing guide, for exactly the same reasons that I keep a tape measure handy, because it gets expensive. You don't want to be going over. You don't want to have your customer getting a notice that they have to pay a difference in postage because you haven't paid enough, you haven't paid the correct rate. So these are very cheap. It's just a plastic thing, and the size guides on this are for large letter and standard letter. I almost exclusively just use the large letter. As much as getting it wrong can be expensive in the way of penalty charges, getting it right can save you a lot of money as well. So don't assume that the item that you're sending out is a small parcel when you can actually fit it through that gap, because it can be half the price of a small parcel or less. Item number 5 is an obvious one, clearly. A decent pair of scissors. If you get a decent pair of scissors, you won't have to replace them as often. When I first started out, I went through so many scissors because of regularity I've been using them. These are particularly good though for several reasons. They're multi-purpose, very good sturdy scissors. They also separate and you can use them to the serrated edge to cut boxes, polystyrene and whatnot. So they're multi-purpose as well. I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to link these in the description of the video, because for the life of me I can't remember where I got them from. The point I'm trying to get across though is make sure you invest in a decent pair of scissors. If they're multi-purpose, great, but you want them to last and be able to cut through thick card and all that kind of stuff. Number 6 on the list is cleaning products. If you're sourcing second-hand stuff, quite often they'll come to you and they'll need a clean. So I've just got a small selection here, but the idea of it is you need to improvise and adapt depending on what you want to clean. Absolutely, without question, the best thing that you can have though is baby wipes. In a lot of cases, stuff just need a wipe down. Baby wipes are obviously multi-purpose and they're fantastic, really cheap, and they're great for cleaning things up. Toothbrush for hard to get to areas if you need to get a bit of dust out or a bit of gunge out of nooks and crannies on items. A toothbrush to clean it out, a selection of cloths just for polishing, wiping, etc. And surface cleaner if you've got a bigger item that needs a bit more of a detailed wipe down. That's a good thing to have. Top tip though, obviously sometimes you'll get items in that have got sticker residue on, or just general stickiness. It's sticky off, it's called, and that'll get any kind of sticky residue off. Lightly spray it on and give it a wipe off, and it adds the added advantage of making your items smell lovely as well. I think this one just smells of orange peel. So sticky off, top tip that, brilliant bit of kit. Number 7 on the list, digital scales. I've actually recently invested in some larger ones, but this one I've had for a really long time now. The batteries in them last ages, and I won't be without this. It's absolutely brilliant bit of kit for 2 reasons really. Digital scales are always a preference because it gives you an absolutely bang on accurate weight, but this particular one goes from 1 gram all the way up to 27 kilos. When I'm sending very large packages out, until just recently when I've bought the scales that I'll show you in a second, this was taking massive boxes on, giving me a correct weight, so I know that the parcels that I was sent out were labelled correctly. This particular one is from UltraShip. It's an UltraShip R1-60. I think this may have been, it was either an eBay or an Amazon purchase. You can see because of how grubby and marked it is, how much use it gets. Every single time without fail that I'm doing my packing and posting, this is what I'm using. Fantastic bit of kit. Does exactly what I need it to do. A more recent investment for me was larger scales as well. When I'm sending my Amazon shipments in, they're all in large boxes because I'm sending multiple items in a single box. So really, although that will take the weight of the boxes I'm putting on it, because I hardly ever send anything over its maximum weight of 27 kilos, it was having to balance it on. This is just a plastic platform. Realistically speaking, it's only designed for smaller boxes and packages. So the large boxes I'm sending into Amazon, I needed a bigger platform, and this is an Amazon purchase actually. I think it was somewhere in the region of £30. I'll link it in the description below, and that'll weigh my big boxes as well. So it does exactly the same thing as a smaller one, but obviously a bigger platform, bigger readout, more convenient for sending larger boxes out. Number 8 on my kit list is a testing TV. This was a really cheap pickup. I picked up off Facebook Marketplace. I paid about £30 for it, with the sole purpose of using it to test electrical equipment. Quite often I'm getting the likes of DVD players in, I'm getting games consoles, VHS players, anything you can that plugs into a TV. I can test it on this TV, and what I've got plugged into it is just a variety of different cables, SCARTs, HDMI, different connectors as well, so I can just plug it straight in. I don't have to faff around the back of the TV plugging the cables in from the device. So I can test everything in one go, take a picture of it being tested, which is a really good idea, to stick the pictures of the items being tested on your listings as well, to prove to the potential buyer that it is working and it is all hunky-dory. You don't have to be all fancy with these, and I've even gone to the lengths of explaining that the TV is not included in the sale. Customers are lovely people, but sometimes, shall we just say, idiots are everywhere. Number 9 on the list is an obvious one, camera. I say obvious because obviously you need to take pictures to do your listings on eBay. I've never used anything other than my phone. Phone cameras these days are almost all fantastic. My preference is iPhone. I've had iPhones for years and years, never ever had an issue with it. Also, a lot of my other devices are Apple products, so they integrate very well as well. You don't need a fancy camera to be taking pictures of your items for sale on eBay. It just needs to be good enough, and your phone camera is more than good enough. Number 10 is thank you cards. I've mentioned these in previous videos before. It's not something I did from the get-go when I first started selling on eBay, but it's something that I've found gives me an increased chance of positive feedback on my sales, and also it's a nice touch. It presents yourself as a professional person or a professional company, and it, like I say, increases the chance that you'll get good feedback from your customers. So I'll give you a bit of a close-up this time. I didn't do last time. I don't really mind you having my contact details that are on there. They're open to the public. I think I probably linked them below anyway, so you can want to pause this video and nick the wording from these cards, you're more than welcome to. As your selling experience develops, develops, it's definitely something that's worth considering adding to your post when you send items out. Number 11 on the list is a laptop. As I've said before, I prefer Apple products. I used to be very much a PC guy, but I was going through PC laptops, or Windows laptops should I say, at a rapid rate or not. So I was having to replace them once every 12 months, and it was getting expensive and it was getting annoying. So I tend to find with Apple products, they just last longer. They're better built and more resilient. That's my own experience. Obviously, each to their own. I certainly won't knock anybody who's PC minded, because they're equally as good. But like I say, my own experience, I tend to find that you have to replace Windows-based products a lot more regularly than you do Apple. Now, you can use a desktop. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But from a selfish point of view, I'm in a very, very great position now where I can be mobile. I can go to coffee shops to do my research rather than do it at home, and a laptop enables me to do that. So I can just pick this up, head down to my local coffee shop, set it up, and go through my auction listings, go through my jobs to do, and get on the hunt for other stock sources. Now, if I had to give up everything else on this list and just keep one thing, this would be it. Item number 12 on my list is my Dymo 4XL. This was single-handedly the best investment I've ever made as far as my reselling tools are concerned. It saved me so much time. It was a one-off purchase. As far as the consumables are concerned, all it takes is rolls a label. Now, it has to be said, these things aren't cheap. I can't remember exactly how much I paid for it. It was well over £100 though. Again, I'll link these in the description below. But it was a very, very wise investment. The printer itself is a thermal printer. So basically what that means is rather than using ink or toner, it uses heat to print onto the label. So you never have to buy any ink, you never have to buy any toner, and it will always work. It does exactly what you need it to do. The label size I use is 4" by 6". That'll be pretty universal across any service that I'm using, whether it be Royal Mail or Courier. And just to give you a demonstration of how it works, this is in real time. So what I'll do, I'll press this button, you'll just see how quick this thing is. So I'm just going to print out handle with care label. So press now, prints instantly. You can imagine if this is an address label, just tear it off, peel it off, stick it to your package, and away you go. It's really, really simple, and you can print these directly from your eBay shipping page as well. As far as consumables are concerned, all I'm buying for this is the roller labels. You can get them directly from Dymo, but the Dymo rolls of labels are really expensive. I get these off eBay and they're really cheap. If memory serves, it's somewhere in the region of £1.50 for 250 labels. So dead cheap. It's not as cheap as obviously printing on a piece of paper and then sellotaping the piece of paper to your packages, or indeed just writing out the address on the packages. But with the time that this thing saves you, it's so much worth the cost of it, and it's so much worth the cost of the labels themselves. Item number 13 on my list is a photo booth. I've always known that taking good quality pictures is really, really important for the success of your listings. So what I've done is always had a white backdrop to my pictures, and I've just kind of built this out as I've gone. So just to take through what I've actually developed in and what I'm using at the moment, a couple of people have actually asked about this fact. It's not, I haven't painted this myself, it's just a very thin ply. It comes already in white. I picked this up from a local timber merchant. I think I paid no more than £4 or £5 for it, and bent it to the background and screwed it in place so it didn't move. And you get that, they call it an infinity background. So when you taking your pictures, there is just assume there's no corner behind it. But when I started off, all I was using is a piece of white kitchen surface with a white wall behind it, and taking my pictures with just some light shone directly on the product, which is more than adequate. But obviously the more professional your pictures appear, the better conversion rate you're going to get. So as I've gone along, I've added some lights to it as well. I started off with the big umbrella ones. I found that adequate, but they were getting in the way too much. So I found these particular ones, these bar lights, on Amazon. So they come as a pair with the stands. Brilliant for direct forward facing light on your products. These are from a company called Hakutats. Again, link in the description. And the brilliant, absolutely brilliant bit of kit. And above, from a company called Neewer, that's Neewer. I've replaced what I used to have, a big umbrella type softbox that was getting in the way. So I invested in this one. This is does exactly the same job. Downlight onto the product as well. Take the shadow behind the product off slightly. This one can operate on battery power as well. So if I ever need to use it for my vlogging or YouTubing, I can take that as mobile as well. It works off different settings. It's a worthwhile investment. You can actually pick up the softbox lights really cheap. There's nothing wrong with them at all. But lights are something that are always going to be handy, something you use and on a very regular basis because of the nature of the business. So why not invest in some really good quality kit if you can manage it as you develop. Number 14 on the list is my mate Manuel here. Manny the Manequin, very cheap to buy, and again a very useful bit of kit. Now I don't do a great deal of clothing, but this is definitely something that helps you present better quality pictures. When people are buying clothing, jackets, tops, any that kind of thing, they like to know how the garment's going to hang. So Manny here helps me present the garments in the best possible light. And also he makes me want to be a better person. I mean, who doesn't want abs? I think I might be getting a little bit mad. Now Manny here brings me quite neatly onto my last top tip for equipment to have. Number 15 is a backdrop. Now, when you're taking pictures of clothing on a mannequin or larger items, it's not always possible to use your photo booth, so you've got to adapt. Nobody wants to see pictures of what's going on in your house. They just want to see the item that they're intending to buy. So if you can make the background as plain as possible, then your picture and your item is going to stand out that bit better. And my preference is to use a green screen, purely and simply because of the fact that eBay now have a facility where you can remove the background on garments. Now if you're taking a picture of a white garment on a white background, then the eBay software is not going to know which is garment, which is background. So I use the green screen so it can take almost completely out the background of the garment, so all your focus is on is the item itself. So there we have it, folks, the 15 things that I've got going on in my reselling business to help me be as productive as I can possibly be and also present myself as a professional seller. As always, I'd love to hear your comments. Use the comment section below. If you have a setup that you think works better, you've got any suggestions for me, I'm all ears. I'm very much learning as I go as far as my development in reselling is concerned as well. So if you've got anything that you want to comment on, that'd be absolutely brilliant. Know everything I've mentioned in today's video where possible. I'll link it in the description of this video. So if it's something that you particularly like the look of, that you think might be an advantage in your kit bag, then click the link and there you go. If you found these videos useful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps to reach the channel, and again, it'd be much appreciated. Likewise, if you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button below and the bell icon and you'll get a notification next time I post a video up. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.